everyone, and welcome to Now You Can, our monthly expo show celebrating the game-changing world of low-code, no-code for financial markets. I'm your host, Georgie Barrett, and I'm delighted to be guiding you through this month's lineup of talks, demos, and more. Now, today we're going to be exploring new e-platforms and low-code, no-code innovation in the collateralized loan obligation market. We caught up with David Trepanier, Managing Director at Bank of America, and Alex Nabojcek, Head of US Loan Trading at Bank of America, to discuss their low-code multi-dealer platform Octopus, built in consortium with Citibank using the Genesis platform. Not only that, Brad Bailey, Research Director with Celent's Capital Markets Division, and Matthew Rees-Evans, Wholesale Loan Markets Digital Lead at ING, join us for a panel discussion on the evolution of IT delivery in financial markets, as well as exploring their recent paper, which is called a 360-degree buy-to-build technology approach, reimagining risk data workflow with a low-code, no-code platform. Later on, we'll check in with Ben Jeffries, Senior Technical Pre-Sales, and Chris Anderson, Platform Product Manager at Genesis, for a platform technology update and a demo of the Genesis Application Composer, a graphical way to design data models, states, and events for real-time financial markets applications without any code. But before diving in, I would be remiss not to mention the Now You Can festival we hosted last month and all of the fantastic insights from our incredible lineup of experts. For those that missed it, we were joined by experts from across financial markets and technology, from Citibank to Google Ventures, for 2 days of low-code, no-code talks, panels, demos, and more. To catch up on all of the content from the festival on demand, just head to the Genesis Knowledge Hub and learn how industry leaders are using low-code, no-code to transform IT delivery. Without any further delay, let's take a little look at the highlights from our low-code, no-code all-stars.
It was actually just too good to be true, and that prompted us to do what I would consider the longest due diligence I've ever seen from technology perspectives.
Genesis is rarely the whole solution. The platform can be the glue that orchestrates workflow between many systems. The platform's back-end server has a powerful suite of technical integrations, industry adapters and APIs, which you'll hear about tomorrow, so our clients can leverage Genesis to build around legacy systems and major vendor packages to enhance their product offerings at significantly reduced time to market.
They are the best, the absolute leading next generation low-code platform specifically for financial markets. You know, they're scalable. The platform itself took years to build. I mean, you cannot take a lean startup methodology here and write 5 lines of code and sell it. James and Stephen actually had to spend years building the minimum viable platform to make this work.
We created Genesis as the enterprise solution for everyone within the financial markets. Whether you are migrating from your legacy technical architecture, integrating to legacy vendor technologies, all the way through to building completely complex trading venues, the Genesis platform is the platform of choice.
The dashboard has all key information in one place, and combined with the notification and alerts will keep the client well informed throughout the trading day.
Low no code has been around for a few decades, used to varying degrees of success, but I think that embracing of it is critical early, or at least specifically. And then using it practically, you know, we've developed a good partnership with Genesis, and we're working practically at the API level and at the code level, looking at common problems to solve and then ultimately promoting that.
So we were able to take a fairly complicated spreadsheet application and transform that into the beginnings of a low-code application in no time at all. And what this means for firms is they can finally mitigate these incredibly risky end-user computing spreadsheets and transform them into low-code applications very quickly and cost-effectively too.
So
Something that is so important for diversity and inclusion and really changing the industry is taking action. And I think one thing that we've really seen with Genesis is that they really want to take action and they're doing the right things to get the right processes and the right systems in place. So that's one thing that I would definitely say, take action and really influence the industry.
The platform is a combination of high-performance core application infrastructure, feature-rich business components, and a fully integrated DevOps tooling, all built and supported by highly talented and experienced teams throughout Europe, the US, Brazil, and now even Australia and Chile.
Query definitions are rich in functionality and have many customization options. As an example, I will add a filter on this query so we will only show trades with high enough notional values.
And don't forget to check out all the other live and on-demand content across the other zones.
Last but certainly not least, thank you for watching.
Wow, so great to look back at all those different guests who joined us across the festival. It truly was a jam-packed 2 days. Make sure you check out the Knowledge Hub for more Now You Can on-demand content. Okay, I'm now joined in the studio by Brad Bailey and Matt Rees-Evans for our panel discussion on a buy-to-build technology approach. And we're also going to be discussing their recent case study on the subject. Brad and Matt, a very warm welcome to you. Matt, let me just start by asking you how ING started this initiative back in 2018. Can you give us a little bit of background on it all?
Yes, well, let's start with the specific use case before we go into the whole buy-to-build approach. We developed the credit insurance application with Genesis to solve a specific problem. As a niche part of corporate and wholesale lending business, a small percentage of our lending is insured. This niche expanded quickly, and we needed a system to manage all the complex loan data and additional insurance policy data in the portfolio. Plus, there is a workflow process which has typically lots of handovers between colleagues and counterparties in the chain. So easily 8 people can be involved in arranging one insurance policy. So in this case, we reimagined the process around an application or platform to better handle all this data and activity. And that's what we embarked on with Genesis.
Great stuff. And, so Brad, this concept of buy-to-build tech approach, can you tell us a little bit more about what does it mean to adopt that? And how does low-code, no-code fit into that framework as well?
Absolutely. So let's start with we think about this 360-degree view. ING really, or any firm, really looks at what they have, their assets, their liabilities. What are the processes that they're hampered by, difficult workflows, and as Matt said, many handoffs with manual processes. Firms really want to be thinking about like their data assets and then using low code, no code as a kit to develop solutions that can expand to really simplify processes. So I think when we think about low code into this framework, we're really talking about the digitizing processes, how to simplify and make sure the right data is in the right hands of the right people.
Okay, so it's about simplifying digital processes. Matt, have you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, it starts with finding the best way to execute a digitization strategy, which broadly means improving data, UX and UI, and the connectivity between systems, both internal and external, that reuse data. Then we do it as efficiently as possible from a cost risk management point of view. A cheap solution is not fit for purpose. Too many risks sometimes, and implementation or quality issues can crop up. And an expensive monolithic one-size-fits-all solution might not be viable either. So digitization means more applications. And on the plus side, cloud now provides a cheap way to host a larger number of applications in the business. Buy-to-build using a low-code, no-code framework suits all this. It's reducing the development and operational cost and risk, and extending technology dependency in the organization. Having a platform like Genesis can suit multiple use cases, handling complex market instruments, and deployed with ease to build a portfolio framework of applications.
Absolutely. And, I'm sure both of you are fully aware that there is an insatiable appetite for software within financial markets. I mean, take this past year alone, $4.1 trillion was spent on software purchases. Why would companies then choose this low-code, no-code option? Brad, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, as you said, technology now in the financial services is not a separate entity. It is the game. It's a massive cost, but it's also the expectations that we see in financial service are tremendous. So how low code is a path to really, how do you unleash the creativity of your businesses? And how do you smooth frictions that are naturally exist between IT and the business themselves? And I think this is where people, as they think about the development of new applications, they don't want to add to their technical debt. They want to, you want to solve a problem. You want that problem now to be, can you use that same toolkit for business users and for IT to develop other things, to connect internally, to go out, to build a framework for a marketplace with partners. So it's an amazing way of thinking about a new path to cheaper, faster, and better business applications to the use of your clients.
Cheaper, faster, better. I mean, these are all words that businesses want to hear. Matt, have you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, low-code, no-code goes hand in hand with transforming how our own developers work with software vendors. So using agile principles, we want to develop and deploy software quicker in more modular and frequent releases. So broadly speaking, we have a long backlog of development with limited resources. So any approach with this is helpful. With low-code, no-code, you can reduce the burden on developers and take control of your own release schedule, which I think all CTOs like the sound of. Also, this approach means more involvement of the end users and customers in designing and testing the software. So low-code, no-code is it's all about coding and programming the back end away from the software development, and so focusing on the business requirements and quickly using the app. If you take this further, you can move towards the citizen developers and more flexible squad formation with a secure and sustainable approach.
Great. And in the paper, you did have a really ambitious target. You stated that the goal of the initiative was to reimagine risk, data and workflows by adopting this low-code, no-code platform ecosystem. Can you just talk me through a process of putting this together? Because it was quite a big undertaking, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, like we've been saying, a typical front office team relies on Excel and email to share info. It's not just fit for purpose with today's expectations for real-time data. We wanted to make things more efficient, both managing internal data for reporting and monitoring and handling a lot of shared data and documents that circulate inside and outside for this project with brokers and insurers. So to illustrate the goal, my favorite analogy is iOS and how that took over the app and smartphone space, and phones in your hand are much more powerful. And that's where we need to go with the enterprise laptop and move beyond Windows and Office Suite and standalone data feeds for your typical business user. I can envisage a portfolio of useful applications exploding with low-code, no-code in the same way as phone apps. So our approach first was that we assessed the technology estate and process optimization needs of the business, in this case for loans. Then Genesys applied their knowledge of market products and considerable out-of-the-box tools. And that helped accelerate the scoping and the solution design, the development and implementation processes. And then, we basically had lots of collaboration and value-added work with a fintech partner from the beginning and onwards. Then in terms of the scale and lots of similar use cases, there's a lot to leverage. We're using the core of the Genesys app framework and using the loan data we've got. And then you can build anything from a small app to a large market platform that can handle large amounts of data. Each application initiative is manageable, and I envisage over time the suite of apps and data then becomes more connected and reusable.
I love that vision of it being almost like apps that you have on your phone, but for enterprise software. Brad, have you got anything to add to that? Just sort of how the process unfolded, how you went about this big undertaking?
Yeah, I think when we watched what ING did, it really was very ambitious. They really looked at processes very carefully, and to go from, the legacy state, the integration of different systems, the lack of tracking, the high operational risk that potentially exists, to go to API integrations using the cloud. It really is a phenomenal step, and it really represents what the future enterprise can be in financial services.
And focusing in on the end user, Brad, what have been the benefits of adopting a low-code, no-code system, both from a business perspective and also from a technology perspective?
Yeah, first of all, I think it's a path to smooth the relations between IT and business. It allow business to do what it does best, to seize opportunities, to really to do things better for the internal clients, for their clients, and it allows IT to help the business, really quickly go to market, and solving questions of like, how do you orchestrate concurrent workflows and interactions that are really complicated? How do you end the constant emailing of spreadsheets around and the risk and lack of data? Really, to get the data insights, you really have to think about this in a new end-to-end way. And I think that's really, that really sits well with both the business and IT. And that is the path that people are looking for. How do we do things, as I said, really get started, don't rebuild the wheel every time, but really take the project and learn from what you have and use those assets to build that, as Matt said, that app store type framework.
Unlock the potential of data. Anything else you'd like to add to that, Matt?
Yeah, like Brad said, it's an ambitious project, but we started it a couple of years ago and we're using it already. So, developing the applications and using them is the best upside for the business. And it's affordable, but customizable at the same time. And there used to be a term for that called mass customization or mass personalization. So business teams are using apps now where there hasn't been an adequate app in the market, and perhaps because they weren't commercially viable or weren't offered, up to date, and we hadn't had a suitable in-house tooling. We can also build commercially now for third parties to use, which otherwise wouldn't have been possible with something ING had built. So there are synergies now, and there's even upside from partnering with Genesis and putting the apps in the library, which we've done with CIA and FFI now.
Brilliant. And Brad, there's some people dialing in who are just really at the beginning of their low-code, no-code journey. What sort of advice would you have for them, or what lesson would you say that you've learned going through this process?
Absolutely. I think the process that ING used, that, really, okay, what are our, as a firm, what are our assets that we have from IT, our applications, our technology stack, our business, and how do we extend that? How do you partner? How can you get things going faster? Like, low code gives you a starting point and a lot of connectivity, a lot of things you could do. So I would think about what are point solutions that are really hampering your business, that are very manual. Use that as the genesis to start a project, and really that can expand. And you can start from a point solution and you can leverage, as Matt just said, things that you have that are available that others have built. So you're really becoming this ecosystem and really thinking about what you as a firm do best and what you can share and do with others. And so just to put a finer point on like starting points, if you're emailing a lot of spreadsheets around, that's a good point. Are there lack of STP? Are there multiple and duplicative client touch points or manual touch points? And how can you better use data? If you capture the data and can use it and create dashboards and insights for the business, and for IT, to how things are running, or compliance, to make sure that you're capturing everything, they're the points that you want to start, and you could really build from there.
There's some really, really sort of useful things that people at home, I think, can resonate with and say, actually, that's a good starting point. Matt, is there anything you'd like to add to that? Any other bits of advice you'd like to give?
Yeah, well, just following on from Brad, low-code, no-code is certainly part of the future landscape, and it fits the agile at scale strategy, which we've gone through, which was also quite difficult to do well. And for instance, low-code, no-code is a good way to move beyond large vendor monolithic implementations. So I think the speed of delivery can catch people by surprise as well. We're expecting apps, sometimes to take a long time to get off the ground, but we can now shift our perspective to a much faster turnaround. And then, we look at the sort of the POC and the MVP stages and doing them within weeks or even days, to be honest. So we found it useful to have also pre-workshops with the business team so they understand what moving away from a spreadsheet tool means towards an application. And as I've said before, risk assessment and implementation needs to be agile as well as just the app development on the tech side. So if that all comes together, which takes a bit of time, the solution can be really powerful.
Well, on that note, Matt and Brad, thank you so much for joining me. Now, earlier on, I caught up with David and Alex from the Bank of America to discuss their low-code, no-code platform, Octopus, and how they're using this technology to transform CLO and loan markets trading. Let's have a little look. Well, David and Alex, thank you both so much for joining the Expo. Let me just start with some quick introductions. Can you both tell us a little bit about yourself and your work at Bank of America?
Sure, thank you. And I appreciate the opportunity. So at Bank of America, I run the structured products business within credit. That entails the trading, the banking businesses and financing business for CLOs.
And I'm Alex Navoychuk. I run U.S. leverage loan trading for Bank of America, and I've been with the bank for just about 12 years. And along with Dave, I'm one of the two leads for the Project Octopus development at Bank of America.
So tell us a little bit more about Octopus then. In a nutshell, what is the platform and what does it do? Dave, let me go to you first.
Sure, thanks. We're really excited about Octopus. We see this as innovative on many fronts. First, it's first and foremost, it's going to be a trading platform for CLOs as well as leveraged loans. But we're going well beyond just trading with Octopus. We have grand ambitions. It's going to also offer customers data and analytics on our products. Our products are a little more complex than vanilla trading products, and Octopus is going to solve both trading, analytics, and data problems for our clients and really broaden the market, broaden the access to the market. But we're trying to build this not just among a couple of dealers, BofA and Citi. We really are trying to change the way the industry views a product, trades a product, and we're spearheading this with a dealer-led consortium. So we have multiple dealers involved. So we're bringing multiple dealers to the platform simultaneously while also trying to electronify otherwise relatively illiquid markets that require a lot of data and analytics.
And Alex, from your perspective?
Yeah, what it really is, as Dave mentioned, it's a trading platform to start with, both for loans and CLOs, with two protocols to start. So we'll be starting with both BWIX as well as a matching protocol to start. But we're already working with Genesis to develop additional protocols to have at launch or soon after. And as mentioned, it's really more than just another trading platform or venue. Its real goal is to combine both the trading aspect platform as well as the analytics to really deliver something unique for our clients.
Interesting. Okay, so it's my understanding that Octopus was built in consortium with Citibank using Genesis low-code, no-code platform. Why did you take this particular approach? And what is the importance of low-code, no-code in achieving your goal of transformation?
Sure. Happy to start. So I think when you look at the multiple goals that we're trying to achieve with execution, you need something that can be developed quickly without having latency issues. And Genesis is a local platform that's aimed at trading and markets execution. And so we found that speed in terms of ultimate product performance is not an issue. That's number one. But also number two, like very big picture, taking a step back. When building something innovative like Octopus among several dealers with products that haven't been electronified yet, it's really critical when incorporating the consortium's feedback and also our clients' feedback that you can pivot very quickly and develop and tweak, the protocols and how the product works. Because we're trying to get a lot of feedback, incorporating the end product so that we hit the mark when we launch trading Q1 of next year. And so Alex hit the nail on the head. He said we're bringing 2 protocols to begin with, but the vision for this is to go out and incorporate beyond the 2 protocols that we're going to initially launch with, and pivot the interface, pivot the trading protocols, and try new things in new markets. And low code allows us to go back and not only incorporate multiple dealers' input quickly, but also incorporate client input quickly. And to the extent that markets are receptive to new protocols, we can quickly adapt, tweak, try, repivot, and learn much more quickly than traditional methodologies. And so that's critical to the success of this when you have multiple contingents creating the product, as well as multiple contingents consuming the product, which is incorporating feedback from end clients. So the trial and error process is much quicker with low code, particularly with a low code platform like Genesis that's focused on execution in financial markets.
And Alex, do you have anything to touch on there before we go into the build process?
Sure. I would just say consortiums have their own unique challenges, and this project really brought that out. Moving an industry and working amongst large institutions with our own individual groups and challenges made this project and this task very difficult to accomplish. We started this project with an idea of what we wanted to get built and sent out the RFQs. And what stood out with Genesis and their low code, no code platform was really how their speed, they were able to get back not just the RFQ, but also the speed at which they'd be able to deliver us the platform. Our markets move very fast, and so do our competitors, and we had to think like that as well. What we really needed was something to be developed for our market that'd be able to meet all the technology and security needs that each individual bank has, as well as really be agile enough for our clients. And like I said, Genesis and the low code platform really delivered that for us.
Great. Okay, so staying with you, Alex, can you tell us more about the build process from ideation to bringing the platform to market?
Sure. I mean, I think if you look at the whole build process, it was really unique from my perspective, at least, and unlike things that we've done in the past. Genesis works in 2-week sprints, and because of that low code, no code approach, Bank of America employees like myself and Dave were able to really be fully integrated into the entire process. They also release weekly releases that Genesis shows us, as well as weekly demos that really started out with a small group and then grew as the consortium grew both internally and externally to involve more people. And some of these demos would involve 15, 20, or 25 people to really test out. This allowed us as the banks to get feedback quickly to Genesis and get ultimately to the right solution quicker. These demos involve not just technologists within the bank, but senior traders across the entire global credit platform for B of A. And this dialogue amongst both Genesis and the banks allowed us to really develop a better product, unlike other times or traditional development where we spend weeks and months speccing out a design and then waiting for a finished product to really be delivered to us that really may or may not meet all of our needs. This real hand-in-hand development alongside Genesis really was a unique process.
And in your perspective, David, how does the rapid development process impact business and key stakeholders?
Look, it brought a vision to reality very quickly. It's much easier to get a consortium of dealers behind a product that already exists in its entirety, which would take much longer to build kind of using traditional methods. So the proof of concept, went from proof of concept to vision to execution so quickly, and allowed us to incorporate the feedback that new consortium members wanted. But it also has an additional benefit as well. So it's great that we can create the vision and forge new ground, but it's also critical in this world to be able to actually integrate and plug into legacy systems that both the sell side and Wall Street banks have to facilitate trading, but also enable straight through processing of trading to myriad of legacy systems that exist on the investor or the buy side of the equation. And Genesis has allowed us to innovate as well as retrofit and backfit, plug into existing systems almost seamlessly. So it's like having an interesting canvas where we can create, but it also just sits on top of a myriad of existing systems, if you will, to seamlessly plug in and actually allow us to change the industry and work across all those platforms.
So in terms of ease of integration, the Octopus platform wraps nicely around existing IT stacks. Okay, so Dave, what has been the benefits so far for end users of the platform, from both a business perspective and also technology perspective?
Yeah, I think some of the the key benefits are speed, ability to pivot, ability to test quickly, ability to also foster innovation. It's not something like, to Alex's point, the design cycle to testing cycle to maybe it doesn't quite meet our needs, repivot. The kind of the execution period is so quick that it really brings about and really lifts the creative energy of an institution, because you can go from concept to execution so quickly and test it that it really makes kind of the possibilities endless. And then when you look back on, to Alex's point, data security is critical. It's met our needs on that front, and kind of integration of legacy systems is also critical. It really covers a gamut of kind of forward-looking as well as retrofitting. And we think it's at Bank of America, we're excited to leverage the product beyond just Octopus to help foster the creativity across the platform.
And from yourself, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you just look at this platform, the benefits are going to really be vast. If you look at the loan market and CLO market, the size of the markets have doubled, trading volumes have increased dramatically. And I think if you look at Bank of America, as well as all financial firms, organizations, there's huge demand for resources, for project resources, technology resources, as well as on a trading desk, everyone's time. We really think this platform will allow some low margin business that was otherwise done via voice in our markets to be brought over to this platform that we've built, and allow both traders and other people within all the firms, both buy side and sell side, to really trade more effectively and more efficiently. From a tech perspective, I think the speed and efficiency at which this project was developed it has really been the key benefit. And as Dave said, it's really without compromising the quality or controls that Bank of America or any large financial firm really requires. And then finally, I think there's been obviously a lot of talk about the citizen developer. And really, if you look at Bank of America, our real goal is to help really empower traders to be able to develop some of these tools, and different traders have different degrees of coding or technology backgrounds. And what I really enjoyed about this whole process and the real benefit is we've been able to partner with Genesis to really empower a lot of our traders to be able to build and develop this platform by making it exactly to the specs and the needs that both our traders and our clients really demand.
Are there any lessons learned that you'd like to pass on to others who are just starting their low-code, no-code journey and are looking to mirror this type of transformation? Alex, do you want to take this one first?
One of the main lessons I would take away from this whole process is really to make sure you have the right team surrounding you on any of these projects. For us, we found Genesis as a great partner, but we also developed the right team internally to really work to develop and build this platform. And as I mentioned, Genesis is able to partner with people from a variety of backgrounds and skill sets to really build this project together. And then the other takeaway or lesson I would say is the ability to really course correct quickly. I think what Genesis allowed us to do through our weekly testing is we would talk about an idea maybe on the beginning of the week. By the end of the week, we would have a demo of it for a new idea or a new part of the platform, and we'll be able to quickly change it if it wasn't working. And that real fail fast mentality that Genesis and us have really partnered to build has really been a great benefit for this project and helped us really develop quickly and develop a better product for our clients.
Certainly. So, David, what key takeaway would you like to leave the audience with?
I really just got one kind of big lesson learned, and that's I wish I'd known about this sooner. I think it's transformative, not just for your tech department, which is what I thought initially. I was just a faster way to develop, but it has vast implications for transforming empowering innovation across firms and really getting that creative energy out of your people and bringing technology and business and integrating the way we work. And to Alex's point, I agree with everything Alex said was that kind of test and redo cycle is so short and so fast that the art of the possible now has gotten so much more fast that it's really allows us to tap all of the creative ideas of both the business side and the tech side. So I think it kind of unifies both the business and the technology in a way that I have not seen in my 20-year career. So I wish I'd known about it sooner.
Well, that just leaves me to say, David and Alex, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for the opportunity. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic insights there from Brad, Matt, David and Alex. It's really great to hear how firms are winning with low code, no code and are able to remove inefficiencies from key workflows. Now, moving right along, we have some exciting news from the platform team. Let's head over to Ben Jeffries and Chris Anderson for a technology update and a demo of the Genesis Application Composer. Over to you.
Thank you, Georgie, and welcome to the tech part of the show. We're here to talk about the latest and greatest from the platform team at Genesis. I'm Ben Jeffries, Senior Technical Pre-Sales, and I'm joined by Chris Anderson, Platform Product Manager. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you, Ben.
Now, it wasn't so long ago that we were in the studio on the back of the Now You Can 2-day festival, which was a great event, and a lot has been happening at Genesis since. So we've had a major platform release, and we're here to talk a little bit about that. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what's in the box?
Yes, Ben, it was a great event, and we have just had a major release with lots of great stuff inside. If I were to pick my top three, though, I would say that number one, it's the fact we've upgraded our UI framework. So we're now using Microsoft Fast as our underlying web technology. And we've done that primarily for standardization and for future-proofing. Number two, along with that, we have a new design system. So a set of beautiful components which you can use to build your user interfaces. And we have some financial markets specific things in there, as you'd expect, things like trade blotters, things like trade tickets. And last but not least, we have the Application Composer, which is a graphical tool for designing elements of your Genesis application.
Fantastic. And I do love the fact you have a top three, Chris. That tells me there's a lot in the release, which is brilliant stuff. But as we said, today the focus is the Application Composer. So I've been keeping a close eye on this over the past weeks, as I'm sure you have too. And I think we should start with a little bit about the background in terms of why we've built it, who we built it for, and of course what the actual App Composer can do.
Absolutely. So the Application Composer is a graphical tool for defining your data model and your events, which is a major part of building a Genesis application. And we built this tool primarily for acceleration. We've talked about this on the show before. We do a lot around acceleration. It's what we do here at Genesis. And the new tooling helps accelerate in two ways. Number one, data models can get quite complex, so it really helps you to go faster and implement things quicker if you can see what's happening, if you can see the connections between elements. So that's one way we can accelerate with this new tool. And the second way we can accelerate is to help bring in non-technical folks and bring them in to help contribute more directly to the application build. This is something that we've talked about in previous shows before. So if we can empower business analysts, for example, to help define business models and to get more involved in the application build, you can go faster as a result.
Yeah, and I think that acceleration is clear. And as you say, that we've talked about empowering those adjacent roles, and some of the no-code tooling does exactly that. But the other, I guess, key theme that is quite relevant is the element of choice, right? So I get this a lot from talking to whether it's existing clients or prospective ones about what the low-code and no-code platform actually delivers and brings, and the tooling that it encompasses. I think people are concerned if they're going to be forced to use a certain type of tooling, but what we bring is choice. So regardless of whether it's a different type of user or a different stage or phase in a project, so maybe we're seeing that people might be using our no-code tooling up front to start the build process, but then dropping down into the code, into our low code environments to actually complete the code, or maybe they pass that on to a developer. So key thing being choice.
Absolutely. As you say, Ben, it's actually a product principle when we're designing the platform to empower users and to never hide the code and to give them this choice. And the way that we've approached that with our application composer, the new visual tooling, is number one, you don't have to use it at all. We won't be offended. I think it's great. I think you should use it. But it may be that professional developers just prefer to use our low-code tooling to define the data model. And that's fine. That's up to them. So that's number one. And number two is if you do use the no-code tooling, you can transition into low-code and back again if you want to. So it's not a one-way route. You can go back and forth between the two tools, again, all in the name of empowering people and giving them the choice of which tooling they want to use.
So it's in some ways, it's not just the right tool for the right job, but it's also for the right role and where you're at in the process. So
absolutely.
So I think that's all fantastic, and it's now it's time to take a look.
So this is the application composer, which is a graphical tool for defining your underlying data model, which is a key part of building an application within Genesis. So in the schema section is where you define tables, which are your business objects. You also define your fields, which are attributes on your business objects.
Yeah.
And then you define views, which are kind of like stored procedures. They're the way we relate data, and these normally power visualizations in the front end.
So Chris, probably worth pointing out at this point that this is one way of designing your data model, whether you're designing it from the start or you're extending an existing one. But there's also the low-code approach to designing your data model as well. So people can be using our development environment, our Kotlin-based development language as well to do exactly the same thing that we're looking at here. So key point, all about choice again.
Exactly, Ben. Let's bring this new tooling to life with an example. So let's create a new order business object and a new trade business object. So in reality, we would have these out of the box, being a financial market specific low-code, no-code platform. But for the purposes of today, I'm going to create two new ones. So we have Expo Order and Expo Trade here. So I've created my new business object. Now I need to give them some fields, some attributes. So what I'm doing here is just reusing attributes that already exist in the system. You can create new ones as well, but don't need to reinvent the wheel. Let's just reuse some attributes here. So I'm giving my order object an ID, which is a primary key, which I've defined on that as well. An order typically has a price. It also has a quantity. Again, these are pre-existing fields. So we're also going to do the same for our trade object. So I'm going to reuse an existing field here, trade ID. We have that already in the system. I'm going to set that as the primary key. I'm then going to add a client order ID so we can relate the trade to the order object. And then I'm going to add the same field, so price and quantity as you'd expect a trade to have, and save that. So pretty straightforward. There are some other things that you can do as well while we're here. So I can create an index for these objects, which will help with high performance lookups, things like that, getting data quickly. We also have the ability to do sequences. So these are kind of auto incrementable fields, which are very useful in the financial markets for things like trade IDs. And finally, you can turn on auditing, full property auditing across any business object you want, which again, you probably need in a financial market specific low-code, no-code platform.
Yeah, and I guess that an important point to raise here, particularly for those who are watching this, is that it has been intentionally designed to have a familiar and logical look and feel to it. That's what we've set out to build. It's a big part of the adoption of the low-code and no-code technology. And I guess whilst that is the case in terms of what we see here, is that below the surface, there's a whole world of complexity that we've abstracted away. So that whilst I'm designing this data schema here in this tool, once we go and click that deploy button, it's building all of that complexity behind the scenes. So there's a lot more going on here than meets the eye.
Absolutely, Ben. So under the hood, we're building this schema as a microservices-based application using high-performance NoSQL database technology, communicating via Aaron, so low-latency messaging. If this looks simple, it's because we've done all the hard work behind the scenes. But moving on with the demo, I just want to talk a little bit about views. So these are a bit like stored procedures, and these are the objects that power visualizations in the platform. So here I'm going to create a new view called trade order on my trades object. And I'm also going to add my order object back in as well. And I'm going to relate the two, just using drag and drop here. So now I've defined my view. I now need to define which properties are visible in my view if we're going to view this data as a grid or as a visualization. So here I'm just going to select all of these properties here, and you can see them in the view being built below here. And that's essentially it. That is Data Model 101 with the Genesis Application Composer.
Oh, very good, thank you. And so we've looked at fields, tables, and views, but I can see a little button there on the screen which says state. And state modeling and state transitions are a really important part of building an application on the Genesis platform. So, Chris, is it worth taking us through a little bit about state and how it's used?
Absolutely. So, business objects normally have states, which are part of their life cycle. So an order object, for example, could start life in a new state, it could move to an executing state, maybe then to a filled state, a cancelled state, a rejected state. So state is all about the life cycle of these objects. But we also need to somehow express which transitions between states are legal and valid, and also what events trigger those movements between states. For example, if a trader clicks on an execute button, maybe the order will move from new to executing, for example. And we can see some of this in the demo, if you like, with a quick example.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
So first of all, I'm going to add a new field to my order object to represent state. So here it's of type enumeration. I'm going to give it some values. So I'm going to have new, assigned, I'm going to have executing. These are just examples. And I'm going to have completed as well. And then I'm going to set a default value to be new. And this is a new field for the state, which I now need to add to my order object. So I'm going to do that here. Fantastic. Then moving to the state machine, I'm going to create a new state machine here based on my order object, using the new status field that I just added. And here you can see the states that I added before. And now I'm going to define which transitions are valid. So we can go from new to assigned. We can go from assigned to executing, executing to completed. And maybe it's allowed to go back from executing to assigned, for example. No other transitions are allowed according to this state machine. And when I click on this here, you can see and visualize which ones are allowed, which ones are not.
That's brilliant, Chris. And I guess one of the key things I'm picking up when we're looking through the tool here is the importance of defining all of these things up front, and I guess the tooling that is sort of facilitating that. When I think about delivering with speed, but also our specialism in financial markets, I can see the importance of whether we're looking at fields, tables, views, but also states and the transitions within them. So we're thinking about applications that deal with might be hundreds of business objects, thousands upon thousands of events. The importance of getting this stuff right is really critical.
Absolutely. It's a complex landscape building applications for the financial markets in particular. It's real-time, event-driven, millions of events. The more you can define upfront in a clear and visual way, the more you can avoid those issues that you only find in production, if you know what I mean, the edge cases. So the more you can use tooling like this to really define things as you say, I think that will really accelerate the build, but also you'll have a much higher quality application as well.
Yeah, I think that's really important parts about developing with speed and minimizing that time to market. So that's been a great look at the tool. So thank you, Chris. But maybe you could give us a little bit of insight as to what's next, whether that's for the platform or for next steps for the application composer.
Well, as ever, Ben, we've got lots of stuff planned to continue to accelerate our users, whether they're professional developers, full stack developers, business analysts. We want everyone to be accelerated and contribute towards the application build. Within the application composer, we're looking at events, so how to define events to transition between states. We're also looking at how do you handle complex calculations in a no-code, low-code world. These are things that are really important for us to look at. And then we've got loads of stuff outside of the application composer as well, but maybe we can talk about that the next time.
Well, fantastic stuff, Chris. We've covered plenty of ground today and really looking forward to our next catch-up session because it sounds like there's plenty of stuff still to come. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your demo. And now back to you, Georgie.
Well, thank you very much to Ben and Chris. It's really great to see the evolution of the Genesis graphical tooling while still giving users a choice between code or no code. Well, that brings us to the end of this month's Now You Can Expo. Thank you again to all of our guests for joining today and to our audience for dialing in. Be sure to download the Celent ING case study, a 360-degree buy-to-build technology approach, which you'll find on the right-hand side of this page. And also, don't forget to register for next month's Now You Can Expo.